Hello, hello, and welcome back to Bearing Birth, a birth story podcast highlighting the emotional impact of birth, the immediate postpartum period, and the years beyond. I'm Sophie, a perinatal mental health therapist.
And I'm Jordan, a doula specializing in postpartum support. Today, we have part 2 of our before and after birth series. This week is the first time we have a couple on the podcast together. Today, we're following up with Garrett and Jules about 3 months after they give birth to their daughter, Gianna.
Who sure is cute.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
She is.
If you missed this Wednesday's episode, you should definitely go back and listen to that one first. In part 1, we talked to Garrett and Jules before their birth experience.
Yes, I loved part 1, and I'm really excited to share part 2 with everyone. This was an incredibly valuable episode for expected parents to just get a realistic idea of what new parents really go through. Jules and Garrett had a pretty tough birth, and it was definitely traumatic. Just like in part 1, they were so open to sharing all of the real and honest details.
Yeah, and I think based on their feedback, they truly felt good about sharing all of the challenges they went through because they found it helpful during their tough birth, having at least some knowledge going into it that things can go very different to what you expect. And I remember they both said, we wish we had something like this to listen to. And I just want to reiterate that too. I wish I had something like this episode to listen to before going into parenthood. It's just another reminder of why we love these honest and raw stories, even if they might be tough to hear. It can really help new parents feel less alone when they're in the trenches of everything and all the challenging situations that happen to so many of us in birth and parenthood.
Yeah, I totally agree. Jules and Garrett walk us through their birth story and how they process the same event in 2 different ways. It's really interesting to have both perspectives in this episode. We also dig into what ways they were able to support one another, as well as how they were able to receive support from their community.
And it's so important to accept support and be willing to put yourself in a position to accept help from your community, even when it's difficult. Trust me, I know just how hard it is. Okay, now for some important content warnings. In this episode, we discuss birth trauma, intense pain during labor, difficult and long labor, medical induction techniques such as Pitocin, Foley bulb, artificial rupture of membranes, or breaking the waters, pain management, and postpartum depression.
And just like part 1, there are lots of beautiful layers to Garrett and Jules' birth story. It's definitely not all negative. We really enjoyed having a couple on the podcast. It offers such a special perspective to birth, especially being able to talk through their experiences before and after birth.
Yeah, it was truly amazing. I'd say like the gold nugget parts that I really wish I had were around the last 30 minutes of the episode when they talk about some of the challenges that they've navigated as a couple. We hope to do something similar again in the future with other couples, co-parents, or really any kind of parenting team.
Another thing worth mentioning about this episode is that you will definitely be hearing some sweet baby noises throughout as Jules and Garrett brought their little one with them, which we personally love it when our guests bring their babies, but we do appreciate your understanding and patience if you find the noises to be distracting.
Okay, enjoy part 2 with Jules and Garrett, my neighbors. A doula and a therapist are sitting down to talk about birth. A doula and a therapist sitting down to talk about birth.
Welcome back.
Hi, neighbors.
Hi,
Welcome
so
back.
excited.
I don't know why I said that in a country accent. Hi, neighbors. Welcome back.
Hi. I've been singing that song all day.
Doula and
really? Were you listening?
No, it just was in my head. I guess so, yeah. I had to have been, but
you were preparing to come today.
Well, I thought back on how much fun we had last time and got really excited today. So
yeah, me too. I'm really excited to have you guys.
And now there's one more person in the room.
Yay.
Yep.
Gianna, say what's up. Okay.
Big yawn.
Yeah.
So anything about your birth story that you want to share or postpartum experience so far, anything at all, this is an open book. This is your story, and we're curious about any part that you want to share.
You come a long way since you were here last.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe we can start with where we left off, how the rest of your pregnancy was and leading to your birth.
Yeah.
So you were last
did
here
we leave off?
October 1st. And then when did you give birth?
October 24th.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So about 3 weeks later. How were those 3 weeks?
Not great. I feel like I wasn't walking very much. Or I could walk a couple blocks and that was it, right?
Wheelchair.
I was in a wheelchair a lot of the times. We went to a museum and I was wheelchairing around the whole museum. Yeah, I did not like the last month. I remember that. But I don't remember like the specifics. I think I had bad heartburn. Definitely had bad heartburn. Couldn't eat much, couldn't walk, hard to sleep. Yeah, it was rough. It was definitely preparing me for not sleeping.
It's like a cruel joke that you can't rest right up until it starts.
Yep. I don't know, anything else about the end of pregnancy?
No, I think you nailed it. I think the heartburn was really bad. Again, it was bad in the beginning, bad at the end. Mm-hmm. I feel like I can't remember, like, you did not want to be touched.
Yeah,
the
no.
last month.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, everything was, very frustrating, I feel like. I was ready, definitely ready towards the end. But I was also really nervous leading up to it. Like, I had a lot of anxiety about birth, just having no idea what to expect. I think I remember texting you and being like, is this normal to be super nervous? Like, I was scared.
Yeah. First time doing something.
Yeah, a lot of unknowns.
And I'm sure the stories that you had heard being
Yeah.
mostly negative, I would say, didn't help. That way, I remember talking with you about that. Like, I didn't want to share my story with you because I didn't want it to impact you.
Yeah. But I'm also kind of glad that I heard some negative stories, because after what we went through, it was pretty bad. It was pretty rough, my birth story. So I am glad I didn't hear like all positive things, all good things about birth, because I would have been like, what is going on? So it's definitely not planned. Should we just start talking about the birth?
It's up to you guys.
Yeah?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Or did you want to ask something else?
Yeah, I was wondering what you were anxious about with birth. Like, if you remember some of those early thoughts?
I guess I was just really scared that something could go wrong, either with her or with me. Yeah, or I was afraid my body wasn't going to be able to do it on its own, which it didn't. So that was really hard. That was the hardest part about it, is feeling like, not that it wasn't going to go as planned, just that like I wouldn't be able to do it. So ending in a C-section or something. It didn't, but it still wasn't the birth that didn't make me feel like I did it all by myself, you know.
Oh, you did it all by yourself, I'll tell you that.
Oof, there was a lot of medical assistance, though, you know. So that's what I was anxious about.
How did you feel about the birth of, you're not the body going through it, but it's your child?
It was tough to watch. Not like tough for like a gross reason. It was just tough of, wow, you were in a lot of severe pain for like days. And there was nothing I could do other than squeeze you and try to be a cheerleader. But you remember that. That was traumatic.
Yeah, it's only so much control that you can have.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
just the acceptance of like, this is the suck. This is,
I think, the couple of days before the birth, too, my anxiety, I feel like, was really heightened because she wasn't moving, remember?
Yeah.
That's why I went in the first place, because I felt her move pretty often, like every day. It was like every 30 minutes to an hour I would feel her kicking for like weeks. And then for a couple days it just stopped. Like there was no movement in there, and I was getting really nervous. And I called the doctor the first time about it. And they said, you should always come in.
That's scary to not feel her move suddenly.
Yeah.
I can imagine that.
Yeah.
Would cause anxiety.
Definitely noticeable. And so they said, should always come in, just to be safe. And it was like a week before the due date, and I went in, and he was out hunting.
God, that makes me feel like an asshole.
He was hunting in the swamp, not far away though, just at Sophie's Island. I mean,
So you went in a few days after you stopped feeling her move, or
yeah. I think I waited a day and a half or something and went in, and
Twice. You went twice.
I did.
Yeah, you want me to tell?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember a decent amount. You had it happen once, probably soon after this podcast, if not before. She wasn't moving, went in. I'm not even sure if they did an ultrasound. I think you went there and then you got there and felt movement, and they're like,
Oh yes, that's right. I remember.
so they just kind of sent you home before doing anything. The second time, I was duck hunting, but I was back at the time. I was butchering ducks, so Yeah, so I was
forgot
home.
about that. The first time I went in and she wasn't moving, and I went in as soon as the doctor walked in the door, she started moving, and I was like,
gosh.
oh God. And the doctor was like, happens all the time, but always come in, no matter what. Even if, you feel her move on the way here, it's okay, just come in. Better safe than sorry. And then the second time I called and I was like, hey, this happened last time, but she ended up moving, and they were like, no, you should come in. And so I went in, and they were like, we're going to do an ultrasound. And so they brought me to the room, did an ultrasound, said it was going to be like an 8 out of 8 test, as long as they meet the 8 criteria. I forgot what all of the things were. It was like, one of them was amniotic fluid, how her size, if she moves during the duration of that hour-long ultrasound. And I think she scored like a 3 out of 8. And so it was really low. And they were like, yeah, the test doesn't look good. You have low amniotic fluid. She's looking pretty small for her gestational age, and she's not moving. She didn't move the whole time. So you're going to have the baby today, and it's against medical advice if you leave this hospital. And I was like, oh, like I was not ready,
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah. And then also going into it with the anxiety that she could be, my worst fear was, stillbirth. And I was just freaking out. So
And you were by yourself?
I was by myself. Yeah. No hospital bag, like nothing, not prepared at all, I think I spent like months on that hospital bag. I mean, we ended up getting it dropped off, but it was just like the way that I felt that I wanted to go into a birth was like I would be at home and I would go into labor slowly and take a bath and have my bag
They promised
ready.
us. They said, hey, when you feel the labor contractions, go to the grocery store, stock up. You're going to have 8 hours. Do not come in. And I was there. I remember I came before the results, so before we knew that you were going to be trapped there, because I remember hearing that news. So, but I just went there because, Jules was on the fence. She's like, oh, well, I mean, you don't need to come in. It's probably going to be nothing. I'm like, I'll just drop what I'm doing. And, like, I'll just ride the motorcycle there, which all the dumb ideas came. But that's when I got there. So I didn't have anything with me. She didn't have the bag. And we got there thinking it'd be the test. We got the results. They're like, y'all can't leave. So that's when we called, our doula, our parents, and like, hey, can you drop off the bag? We haven't had food. Can someone drop off food? Can you, like, get here? So it was
Call in the
Rallying
cavalry.
everybody, yeah.
Before you took all of those steps to like make the calls, like what was the emotional experience like together to hear that news?
I remember I was in the bathroom when the doctor came in to say she can't leave, and you were in the room, and you were like, hey, we're having the baby. And I was like, what? And I like came out of the bathroom with my gown on, and I was like, what do you mean? And
the doctor
had
left.
Yeah, the doctor had already walked out of the room. It was Garrett that told me. Like, he was like, they said, you're having the baby right today, like here. And we're in this like tiny room.
Yeah, an
It
ultrasound
wasn't
room.
comfortable, and the lights were bad. And I was just like, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And then they said they were going to bring me the medicine, do the balloon and the Pitocin in that room.
Oh, wow.
Before getting transferred to like a nicer room, bigger room. And I was like, I don't like any of this.
It was like a triage room. I think, they said that was going to happen and alluded to the fact of where it was going to happen. I mean, they made it seem like it was in that room, but it was just very unclear at that point. Yeah. And all they said is like, okay, well, it's against medical advice if you leave, which to me, from my experience, is like, oh, that's a big deal. We can't leave.
Yeah.
So.
That's so scary.
Yeah, I feel like that's a heavy way to start.
Yeah, I was really nervous. And that's why I was like, call Rashida. Please call Rashida. My doula and his sister-in-law. Yeah. So she came right away. She got there fairly quickly, I feel like.
She did.
And once she was there, I felt a little better.
We also didn't have, you had your bag packed, but I don't know if Rashida it took like 3 days. I didn't have a bag packed because I know it sounds terrible to say, but like they said, you're going to have so many hours. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm going to just grab some clothes. So that being said, a 3-day birth, and I was covered in blood at the time. I mean, I took a shower. They dropped off clothes, but it was like one pair of clothes and didn't even fit that my parents just grabbed out of my closet. I'm like, thanks, guys. And I don't know if Rashida had the same thing, but we just felt very unprepared. I feel like everyone felt very unprepared, surprisingly.
Yeah. And I think the next thing that happened was the doctor checked how dilated I was, right, with her hand. She's like, we're just going to go up and see really quick how dilated you are. And she was like, all right, you're like 0.5. Like, not at all. So.
Did they ask you before doing that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to check because they needed to see if I had to get the balloon because I was only a week away. They're like, maybe you're dilated. And they were like, nope, never mind, you're not. And so we need to dilate you as fast as we can. And that's when they said they had to do the balloon and Pitocin. And the two things that I remember hearing, like, don't do it, don't do it. Yeah, or like how painful it was. And I was like, wow, I get to do both.
But you felt sort of like you had to do it, like pressured because there was this emergency undertone.
Like medical necessity.
Yeah.
Were they continuously monitoring her?
Oh my,
The worst.
I hated that. I hated that so much. Not because I didn't want them to monitor her, but it was like
Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
everything hooked up.
You can't have the freedom of movement.
Can't move.
Yeah.
Should we explain what it is to people that don't know?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can talk about it for a sec. There's external monitors that manages the heart rate, which I guess is it's not just her scenario, it's everyone. And it's like an ultrasound cardiogram kind of thing, Doppler, excuse me. And it's if the baby moves all the time, at this point the baby is moving and you move, it will get off the heart. Mm-hmm. And it's firm, it's like tied with a belt, and it just constantly gets the heart rate off, which either leads to false results and scares everyone, or a nurse has to come in every 15 minutes and adjust it for a 3-day period is insane. Or at the very end, we had an implanted one where they go up and they like staple something on the baby's head.
Yeah.
Being gross about it, but it really is like inside. So that was amazing after we had that, but also hella traumatic.
So you did have that other one too?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the last couple of hours, just because her heart rate dropped and it kept falling off. We're like, this is not working.
Yeah. So you're feeling in your physical body just all these things attached to you, and that those monitors, they imprint into your skin and they hurt, right?
Yeah, everything was uncomfortable and hurt. Like from the moment they put the balloon in to
The balloon, the
very
IVs, the monitor.
yeah.
Yeah, you were hooked up.
It was the balloon, then the Pitocin, and then we went into the room after a bit. Pain started, and so we went to the bathtub in another room. And that's kind of the last thing I remember. I remember trying the nitrous gas in the tub and then being like, this isn't for me. That doesn't feel good or something. It didn't
Just made you
feel right.
nauseous.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like it helped much.
And then
So it sounds like it sort of started stressful and then it was sort of like a cascade of stressful events. Were you able to find like any moments in this time that we're talking about now of just like, of, you know, like being able to take a breath or like slowing down a little bit? Or was it just like constant, you know, on edge, like feeling all of these uncomfortable sensory things attached to you?
Yeah.
Did you find like any reprieve from that in any small moments, or was it just like tough the whole time?
even they like gave me medical fentanyl. And there were times where that didn't even help. I feel like the one thing that helped after such a long time of being in pain and uncomfortable was what was the shot they gave me to put me to sleep? Was it morphine?
The morphine helped a lot, but it was very temporary.
Yeah,
The fentanyl
just
helped
to help
quite
me
a bit.
sleep because I couldn't sleep.
Yeah, that was... pretty sure that was morphine.
I think it was a shot of morphine. Yeah, that they were like, this will help you sleep, at least get some sleep, and then hopefully when you wake up, you'll be more dilated. And when I woke up, they checked, and I was not. It was not moving much. It went from 0.5 to like 1.5 in like 24 hours, and I was like, I'm going to be here forever. This is awful. Like, where's the end? Because they were like, you need to get to 8. I was like, great. When does that happen? But so they kept giving me, I guess, however much fentanyl they could give because they had to pump me with so much Pitocin. I remember waking up and looking at the number, and I think where I started with the Pitocin was super low, and then I saw the number like 40. And I was like, whoa, how am I even surviving right now? Because like they said my body was I was having contractions like every 2 minutes, right? But I couldn't feel them at some point.
No, the Pitocin really didn't work. The balloon didn't work. The Pitocin kind of worked, and then like cranked it up severely, and it worked well, and you weren't feeling it like because they got you to a point of the contractions you were supposed to be at. The problem was you just weren't being dilated, and that 24 hours the balloon was so disappointing because it was so painful for you, and that's
I'm
like
skipping things. There was a point they pumped more Pitocin and I couldn't handle the pain. I was like on all fours, screaming. I remember that.
And I think you went the whole time without the epidural with the balloon. It was only in the last couple, maybe last 12 hours you got the epidural.
Yeah.
Which you'll have to talk to that if you would have gotten it earlier or later.
They kept trying to, or Jane, my OBGYN, was saying, wait, to get the epidural, so that she didn't want me to end up getting a C-section. She really cared about the recovery. So I feel like they were just giving me whatever they could to ease the pain of the contractions from the Pitocin.
And it wasn't really working.
It wasn't working, no. I was in so much pain.
Did it sort of feel like a constant contraction from the Pitocin, or did you get like waves of it?
Waves, like really strong waves, but they were coming on faster and faster. Like I remember the moments in between were like a relief, but then those were getting shorter and shorter, and it was just like
so
unbearable.
Painful. It was like you don't even have time to calm down before the next one comes. Oh my god!
If you could describe what the pain compares to, what would you say?
I don't even know. That I've never experienced pain like that before.
You said it was getting hit by a truck in the room. That's what you felt, at least you told me. Yeah, I think I remember that. It's just like your whole body was like just flexing so hard and then exhausted.
Yeah, I don't. It's like I don't really
so much energy.
I don't really like remember. I just remember how painful it was. I can't remember the exact feeling, but it felt like my whole body.
What was it like for you, Garrett, to watch her go through that?
It sucked. It was really hard, feeling really powerless and feeling, it just felt so relentless. And I was like, it wasn't up to Jules, it wasn't up to me, but to listen to the balloon and watching how painful everything was. And you didn't even talk about her breaking your water manually, which is, by the way, like a stitching needle hook. They just shove up there and pop it. I mean, everything
I feel
was
so bad for anyone listening because
it was a bad story.
I mean,
That's what
it's
happened.
real.
It's
Yeah.
real. Yeah.
Everything was excruciatingly painful. There was no way to make it better except the epidural at the very end. But the problem, like you said, is if you were to do that earlier from our, what our person said, not saying it's facts, but the doctor said that if you did it too early, that it could cause you to not be able to push as hard and then need a C-section. So
yeah.
you waited the final hour. You really did. And that was hard. You were shaking beyond pain.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like
the
tremors.
shakes were really weird.
I think you mentioned that you had thrown up too. Is that right?
I think in the beginning I was throwing up. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many, so you were there 3 days total.
Yeah.
At what point did you get the epidural, and how far along, like, were you more dilated at that point?
I think I got to like 4. I remember them writing 4 on the board, and that's around the time I think I got the epidural.
It was the night before you gave birth, I believe. So
Yeah.
because we stayed there an extra day. So I think how long was the actual labor?
48 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the last 16 hours or something, maybe, because we had,
I think it was like the last 10 hours I got the epidural.
something like that. So a short night, and then in the afternoon.
Did you have anything that was a source of comfort before the epidural?
No, that's when I was in the most pain. That's when I was screaming. And yeah, I think that, I remember the nurse gave me the last dose of like fentanyl that I could get for the day. And I was still screaming. And I was just like thinking, this can't be good for the baby, right? This can't be good for my body. I can't believe this is all in my body right now. And then a doctor came in. I don't even know if I should be saying this.
You should, if it's true, you should say it.
They said, give her more. And the nurse was like, she's at her limit. And then the doctor was like, that's fine. Give her more fentanyl. So they did that right before the epidural.
Did that make a difference?
It had me settle down to get the epidural. Yeah, because I couldn't get off. I think I was like holding the top of the bed right? And like screaming. I couldn't sit still.
How would you describe how it felt when you finally did get the epidural?
That was the best. I mean, like, that was when everything went away. All the pain was gone. I really didn't want to get it. I feel like going into birth, I was always, like, not a proponent of getting it. I wanted to do it.
What had you heard about it that didn't make you want to do it?
I think it was just me wanting to try to give birth, you know, without being so numb. I didn't like my body being numb from the waist down for some reason. It was just like,
Well, you were really scared of the complications that could have come with it.
the complications or not feeling like I'm actually giving birth. I don't know. I didn't feel anything. Yeah.
And then you got it, and it was like a relief.
It was a relief from all the contractions. Yeah. I remember them telling me, they're like, you're having really strong contractions right now every minute. And I'm like, I can't feel a thing. This is great. And so we put on a movie.
What'd you watch?
Top Gun, the new one.
Such a random movie.
And we finally all start like settling. And I got the epidural late. It was not 10 hours. It was late because I remember we put on the movie after I got the epidural. We all started to chill for like a couple hours. We didn't finish the movie.
It was about 10 hours. It was, time was weird, but I know because it was the night before and you delivered at 3:42 in the next day. So sometime, night, I say like could have been 4 a.m. But yeah, it was probably right around 10 hours. It's pretty accurate. Either way, yeah. The one time we were at peace, I think we were all eating, or I don't know if you could eat yet.
I had like 4 ice pops.
Everyone else was eating because we were starving at that point. And they like go down while we're just watching the movie and check you and like, oh, look at that. Okay, 10 centimeters, time to push, or whatever it was. You're like, really?
Just like that.
Now?
Wow. Yeah. I was like, I finally get to relax. I'm eating an ice pop. She's like, all right, you're ready. It's like, right now. She's like, yep, you can start pushing. I was like, okay. And it was just the nurse in the room that's been with us, who we loved. Fantastic. She was amazing. She delivered Gianna.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. No, honestly, the pushing part for you, like, I don't know if you remember, it was the actual giving birth, one of the easiest parts of it. It was the whole leading up process, and then afterwards when they're doing that, not sternal rub, what's it called? Fundal
massage.
Pressure.
Yeah.
Massage.
They call it a massage.
It's not
It
a
is not a
massage.
massage.
It's been beating the
like
shit
assault.
out of you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I pushed her out in like 10 pushes, right?
Yeah, it was less than that.
I was like, all right, I'm ready. Let's do this. And just
she had plenty of
came out
time
pretty
to cook.
quickly. Yeah.
Well, I imagine like your body was, you had the epidural and were watching a movie and eating, or no, you were watching other people eat, but eating an ice pop. So you were kind of relaxing a little bit more, even just emotionally.
Yeah.
And maybe your body
Gives your body space
Yeah.
to do
Catch
what
up.
it needs to do and catch up, for sure.
Yeah. What's it like having Garrett and Rashida there for you?
It was really comforting. Yeah. I'm so happy they were both able to be there. I did feel bad. I was like, how much time has gone by? And they're just laying on these little like shelves in the room. And I was just like, I kind of felt bad for you guys, but then again, you probably felt really bad for me.
So we were fine comparatively.
Yeah, but it was nice. I feel like every time the doctor would say something, I would look at Rashida and be like, what do you think? Or the nurses. Or it was just nice also to have people to vent to, throughout the whole thing, because there was the monitor being hooked up, and they were coming in every 5 minutes to fix the monitor for 2 days.
Oh my gosh.
Every time I moved, sneezed, anything, they would come in and fix it. So I had all these hands all over my body, and I was just like, I remember feeling like I wanted to punch one of them.
Yeah.
One nurse was not very nice, and it was hard because it was like, all I want right now is for people to be like loving and supportive, and she was just like, stop moving. I was like, I can't. I can't stop moving.
Wow.
Yeah. It's not nurturing at all.
Yeah, no.
Caring. And they don't really ask you, right? They just come and adjust it.
They just touch you. Yeah. There was one nurse every time she came in. She's like, I'm just going to do this really quick. Is that okay? Yeah. And that communication helped a lot.
Yeah.
It's just like, thank you for asking me.
It's so simple, but
it
makes all the difference.
It really did. She was amazing.
So the actual pushing part was pretty quick, and then she arrives, and then what? What was that like? Seeing
Oh it was pretty spectacular. I try to like replay the image in my head over and over so I never forget it.
Do you want to describe it visually, what it was like?
Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. I remember you standing here, and I mean nobody can
Upper
see
right.
if people are listening, but you were up my upper right, standing over me and looking down and being like, "I see your head! I see your head! Oh my god! Oh my god!" You were so excited, and I was like trying to see, but and then you were like, "Do you want me to take a picture?" And I was like, "No."
We do have pictures.
He did take pictures, and he's like, "Do you want to see them?" I was like, "No, I don't want to see anything."
Like in the moment?
Yeah.
Gianna's first selfie.
It is pretty cool now that I look back on it, but at the time I didn't want to like
I haven't seen those on Instagram. Come on. I don't know.
At the time I feel like I didn't want to see anything going on down there. I wanted to see her, but I was just like so like I think traumatized by all the things that were being done down there for 2 days that I was like, nope, I don't care. And then they asked me if I wanted to see the placenta, and I was like, nope, don't care. Please, everyone get out of my face. I just wanted her. I remember, them bringing her to me right away. As soon as she came out, it was Gianna right in my chest. And it was, I remember her face. I remember her little scrunched face. I remember staring into her eyes, and we made eye contact.
And she's looking at you right now.
It was really cool. I try not to forget that image all the time.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I love you.
I need a picture. Stay there, Gianna.
You look like you're gonna fall asleep. Hi.
Did you get it? Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, big shout out to Rashida because she also was crying nonstop until Rashida held her.
Really?
And that was the first time she like calmed down out of the womb. Oh, you are sleepy, boo.
Oh.
You.
What was that moment like seeing her the first time? Like imagining what that would be like and then being in that moment for both of you.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. And I feel like as soon as someone, I had a bad feeling as soon as someone took her away. I was like, where is she going? I think they were just going to weigh her.
That she was like right next to you.
Yeah, I was like, where is she going?
It was the first time she wasn't literally like touching you in so long.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird.
That was nice, Kaiser, that she never left the room. I'm sure if there was like an absolute emergency, she would have, but...
They did all the tests and things inside.
Yeah, so she's always next to us.
Yeah. What was it like for you? Seeing your daughter being born.
Sounds stinking cool. I'm glad the pushing process was easy because that would have been terrible to watch. Just like, I mean, I don't know. I got the tickets to the front row of the like traumatizing physicality of what you were going through. And yeah, wow, I will never forget the image. But no, it was so exciting having her. She was just there. She was
crying a lot. She was loud.
She was crying a lot.
Screaming. I remember and everyone was trying to calm her down. And I remember being like, I want to calm her down.
Yeah, we couldn't calm her down. The nurses can calm her down. Rashida calmed her down. Then after that...
Rashida did, our doula. As soon as she held her. Because I think they had to, like, walk me to the toilet or something. I don't know. They were, like, trying to fix me up
Get
a little
situated.
bit. Yeah, and so she was doing her thing. And we did try to breastfeed, right? I think.
Yeah, no, you breastfed there. Yeah.
I don't remember.
You did. And they had lactation come in, all that. But the feelings of seeing her was just awesome. And especially when things were calmed down. She was just so little and like having her grab immediately.
Oh.
And to get in her to stop crying would be like putting your finger in her mouth. And I was amazed at how strong she could latch on and suck on a finger. I'm like, oh my God, you're sucking the blood out of my finger. And you're like not even 5 seconds old.
Like a little snapping turtle.
Seriously.
I remember feeling really relieved that she was crying, that she was alive.
Yeah.
She was probably just like, that was a lot, you guys.
Yeah. What the heck?
Yeah. Oh. And you, that's so hard. You had just gone through so many things happening to you, and then you wanted to be the one to comfort her and as her mom, and that seemed to be taken away from you, and I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think, we forgot. There was another part too, shortly before she was born, that we were all sleeping, or maybe it was when we were watching the movie, when like a I think there were like 6 people that came storming in.
Oh, that was the
really
heart monitor.
scary. Yeah.
Oh, gee, excuse me. Yeah, the heart monitor, it read that her heart rate dropped.
Yeah.
While she was still in the womb.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was way before you were dilated, before the movie. This was
okay.
possibly even before the epidural. But anyway, yeah. The amount of people that rushed in that room at 2 a.m. when the heart rate dropped, like, that actually was kind of comforting and cool to see.
Yeah.
That it was, because I was able to watch it the whole time. It was kind of obvious what was going on. And when it dropped for a second, they were on it. So that was reassuring that if anything were to happen, no matter the time of day, there was a team there that was going to make sure she was coming out.
And that's why the monitor was a good thing, because, yeah.
Just sucked.
Yeah. So.
It's hard to listen to that when you're
Yeah.
going through for so long, just wondering, just like, what's going on?
Yeah, because even her still wasn't moving once the labor started. Like, the whole thing was that we're doing this because she's not moving, and then it's taking a long time. Is she going to come out in time? Why is her heart rate dropping? Why are all these things happening? Why am I not dilating? And then I started to think, like, oh, wow, I can't, my body's not capable. You know, that's like the thoughts you tell yourself when you're in this kind of a birth, is like, I wasn't able to do this on my own. My body wasn't capable of giving birth. It's all this stuff being pumped in me. So it was kind of hard even
Oh, I
after
think you're too
birth.
harsh on yourself. I really do think it's like modern medicine, which I'm a big fan of, just my ideology here. It's great for a lot of things, but so many of the problems we had before labor and during were because we have too much technology, in my opinion, not a doctor. We were aware of all these things which could have been, are liable to be larger problems. Like, at first, we don't have to go into all the different scares we had, but every ultrasound came with a scare. And even to the final point, like, yeah, she didn't move for an hour, which is the threshold of needing to, could not leave. But imagine had we just, like, left and waited a week or something, and your body might have been ready and gone through a normal birth. Like, I don't know. I used to be really against at-home births and the idea of it. I'm like, you guys are idiots, which I still don't think I would want to do. But to their credit, yeah, I don't know. It's,
Takes enormous trust and like to go against that advice, because you're supposed to trust this person who has more medical
all they do.
expertise, right?
Yeah.
And then they say, we forbid you to leave. And like, what are you supposed to think? Like, of course you're going to stay, right? And
so shout out to
wonder-
those home births. Like,
I
all
just
right.
wonder all the time if I would have not gone in. Obviously, I wouldn't have been able to handle her not moving and not seeking advice, but I do wonder, like, if I waited even 40, 41, 42 weeks, if my body would have been able to do it just fine, you know? It's like, I'll never know. And
All the other scares, water on the brain, the twin that you had, and turns out, had we not known any of that, she would have came out
she was fine. The doctors, I think, were the scariest part of all this.
Well, it's just threshold. It was all just numbers, and we were like, you know,
this is what like the standard is, or like this is what we have to do in this situation. And it takes away the human behind it.
Yeah.
for all liability. I mean, because, yeah, shoot, if it was water on the brain, they had that and didn't tell us, I'm sure it would have been big trouble. But
yeah, it's hard, that what if game, right? Like, it keeps you so stuck in a way. Do you feel like you think about that still? Like, what if? Yeah.
Yeah, I do wonder if a lot of the times that we went to the doctor and got an ultrasound, I wonder, had we not, how much less stress it would have been. But obviously, we're just doing what we think is right in the Western world.
yeah, I still encourage everything we did. I think we did the right thing. It's just, yeah, I don't regret doing anything. I mean, it's you, not really me, but yeah, just a lot of stress came with all that.
Yeah.
Do you still feel like a sense of accomplishment that like you made it through all of that? Like I understand the feeling of like, you know, my body needed so much support to make it make the birth happen, but you survived something enormous.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's huge.
I did feel like a badass. I remember like a week after, I was like, wow, I did that.
Even today, you're like, holy shit, I made that.
And yeah, sometimes I look at her and I'm like, I made that all by
you did.
myself. Well, not all by myself, but mostly.
You
Take
did
my
the brunt
1%.
work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you did give birth. Like, you did.
Yeah.
She came out of you.
I got pictures and evidence. And
Yeah. But it's that, like, that hope of, or wanting to do something that you had envisioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a little disappointing, but overall, I'm really grateful that she came out okay. And I guess it was overall a good experience. Definitely makes me think about if we were to do that again, what I would do differently.
Yeah. What would you do differently? Would you give birth again, even?
Oh, I definitely thought, after the first couple of weeks that she was born, I was like, I'm never doing that again. There's
Yeah.
no way. I remember we went on a walk with you guys.
You told me, and I was like, wait a little bit, and then you sort of forget.
Yeah.
So how long after you did give birth did you think, oh, maybe I could do that again?
Recently. It was very recent. And I'm still, like, I'd be very scared right now. If I was told I was going to give birth in 9 months, I'd be terrified. Like, it was still,
Gianna's 3 months old for reference, by the way.
yeah. I feel like I'm still processing
Yeah.
the birth. And the first couple weeks after the birth were the scariest. I kept having, like, really, like, nightmares I was telling you about. And I kept thinking back to the birth and, like, imagining things that didn't happen. Like, I asked you, I was like, how many hospital rooms were we in? And you were like, 1. And I thought we were in, like, 7 different. I thought it kept getting transferred to a bunch of different rooms, and that never happened. I was like, okay, my body's not processing.
You're on a lot of
this.
drugs and lack of sleep, too.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to process when you're in postpartum and not, sleeping full nights of sleep and just like really surviving and keeping a tiny creature alive and learning how to do that. It doesn't leave a lot of space for real processing.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true. Not a lot of time.
What was it like taking her home?
Scary.
Scary.
Car ride was scary. I remember thinking she's so delicate.
Here's a baby. Good luck.
I know. I sat in the back seat with her and just stared at her the whole ride home. Right?
Yeah.
And then I don't really remember the first day home with her.
We slept.
Did we? I don't remember sleeping right away. I remember thinking we're never going to sleep.
No, I think the first couple of days were pretty restful. Yeah, we also didn't stay after the birth. It was like 24 as soon as we could. Yeah, and as soon as she latched, it was not good.
Oh, yeah,
We
no.
didn't-
The first couple of days were not restful. I was breastfeeding every hour. Every couple hours, yeah.
Well, now I feel like a dick.
I remember being like, wait, when do I sleep?
Yeah.
No, that's not a thing.
Was it at least a relief to not have someone coming in and touching you every 5 minutes?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Maybe that was the relief I'm thinking about. It's like, we were so eager to get out of that
We
hospital.
couldn't wait to leave the hospital. And then I remember thinking, now I understand why people stay in the hospital a little bit longer. There's a little more support, a little more time, a little more education, information that happens when you stay in the hospital longer. But I do remember thinking, I need to get out of here.
Oh, I don't regret that one bit.
While you were in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I went back a week later. Why did we go back?
We had to go back like a bunch of different times for...
I couldn't walk, and I was in pain. The stitches or something. I had
You
torn.
had tearing?
I had tearing, and I had stitches, and I remember telling Garrett, I was like, something really hurts down there, but it wasn't the stitches. It was like my pelvic floor. I pulled it, like when I pushed so hard that I couldn't walk. It was so painful. And so we went back to Kaiser, and I asked them to look at it, and that was when the nurse or the doctor she was like, all right, you're gonna take your pants off and get in the gown, and we'll take a look. And she came in, and she just I think put like one hand down there, like one finger, and I lost it. Like I was just like hysterical crying, and she was like, is it painful? And I was like, nope, you're fine. You can keep checking. And she was like, are you in physical pain? I was like, nope, there's no physical pain. I was just like,
Trauma response.
complete trauma response. Didn't want hands down there. Wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
And when she left the room, I think I broke down.
Oh, that's so hard.
I was like, I don't know why we're back here. Why am I back in this room in a
Back there,
hospital?
it was like every other day we were back there. Lactation, the scarring,
We had to go back to Kaiser so much in the beginning. And I was
feels
like,
weird not going back now.
Were there some things that you feel like they could come to you to do?
I don't think so. I
Like
think
could have?
Could
you mean?
have,
Like,
yeah.
like would have preferred that?
yeah. Yeah. Like, I wish that the lactation nurse would come.
Oh, I thought you
to
meant
the
like
home.
virtual. I'm like, I don't know, in person
just
better. But yeah, if they were
hard.
with
you
us.
gotta get ready and get
Yeah.
Gianna ready, and you've just given
Leave
birth
the
and-
house when you're
couldn't
just
walk,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a lot.
I kept asking people, I was like, is it normal to not be able to walk after birth? And some people were like, no, I was walking. I'm like, I can't walk.
Did they say it was your pelvic floor
Yeah.
and give you guidance for resolving the issue?
Yeah, they said just rest, just bed rest. Which is also hard when you have a newborn. I feel like, I don't know, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And
That
you're a
mean-
pretty active person, and so I imagine like being at home, like under bed rest, you
It was hard.
go a little,
Sophie, I want to give you a shout out because a couple things. I had an ego that I was going to be like, okay, every person does this. Like, our family can be better than the average person who has a kid.
sure.
Wow.
We had it too.
Shattered. That was very disappointing. But even then, I also had this ego thought of like, okay, I like to cook. Like, I can do this on little, like, I've gotten little sleep in my life. This is not going to be a problem. I can provide for my family. I can cook. That's not going to be an issue. And Sophie, just like with a smirk, tongue in cheek, was like, I'm going to make you a meal train and I'm going to put it, just have it for you guys. This was like back in the baby shower. And I was like, Sophie, come on, that's not necessary. You know me. Wow, that was such a life-saving thing. I broke down the second day when, like, we didn't have an ingredient to make something, or Jules was like, hey, can you make me, I don't know, a bowl of cereal or something? And, like, one thing was wrong, and I just couldn't. I just, like, paralyzed. So, yeah, not stronger than your average parent. Thank you, Sophie.
I was you, and I had. It was so hard for me to accept help, and I got that from Jordan, Sasha, other people who set that up for us. You just, it changes the way that you think about independence and.
Yeah, that was so needed. That was, I mean, to any parents, just, I would take it.
Set up the meal train.
Set up the meal train.
Yeah. How did you guys do together as a couple navigating that time?
I think we kept switching on and off with mental breakdowns. I would have one, he would comfort me, and then the funniest thing was the tomato soup. That's when we realized we needed meals, and you had your first breakdown. Because he came in the room, I was breastfeeding, it was day 2. He's like, all right, what do you want to eat? I'm like, anything, what do we have? He's like, we got grilled cheese, but we don't have tomato soup. I think we have like chicken noodle soup. And I was like, okay, right? And then...
Yeah, I forgot about that.
like,
It wasn't
okay,
cereal.
whatever.
Yeah, it was something like that. I was the one who brought it up. And she's like, sure, whatever, just make me something. I went in the kitchen and like the normal things I would make, one thing was off. I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah. He's like, I came back in the room and he was like, we don't have tomato soup. I don't know what to do. I was like, it's fine. Make any soup. And he was like, I'm calling Emily. You called your stepmom, right? And you were like, we need meals. We need help. I don't know what to do. And then we finally signed up for the meal train, got that going, and then, had meals delivered and people helped out, and that, made a huge difference.
Just like you said, Sophie, it wasn't like we needed a meal every meal, but just having that to rely on, like someone brought lasagna over and
Yeah, to get you through like a couple days.
Yeah.
huge.
What do you think it was that was hard to accept help? Like, why do you think you thought you could do it? And I'm sure you could have, and you would have figured it out. But in that moment, like, why do you think you broke down with the soup? And I'm also curious what you broke down about, too.
I just feel like I felt so overwhelmed.
You always had a little bit of a hard time accepting help. Like I remember at the baby shower, you're like, why is everyone getting us so much stuff? Because we have a registry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. The ego of not wanting to depend on people or something like that. And like, no, we got this. We can make our own. Like, we don't need a handout or something like that. It was just dumb, but I don't know why I had that. And I guess the breakdown, like, I just got so overwhelmed. Like, I can't. I don't actually know.
Well, it's also like the culture is like parents should be able to do it all. Go back to work in 6 weeks. You don't need what's the word? a village. You don't need a
support,
village.
yeah.
Like you got it. It's unrealistic.
Yeah.
And you're holding so much together, like getting through such a hard time. And then so of course, like tomato soup's going to push you over the edge. You know, you're past your limit at that point. And then you're like, this one thing that I can do. I can heat up this soup. And then when it's not there, you're way past your limit, you know?
Yeah.
It's tough.
I also feel like, just societally and like on a personal level, when you become parents, I feel like you change your perspective on the way things are supposed to be. Like, I feel like we've always really took pride on like how we're both independent. And we realized we're learning now still, like it's a good thing to depend on people and depend on each other and like turn into this family unit and like build community. Like those are all things that I feel like that we're learning are so important now. Yeah.
You had used the word provider, like I want to provide for my family, and maybe just coming out of that experience where you felt really powerless, you like wanted to step in and do this thing. This is like something you can do. And then to not have the tomato soup, maybe it reinforced this idea that I'm failing here, or I can't get this soup that I really want to.
Exactly. I think that's exactly it. That I don't know. It's like I also feel like the inequality, like throughout our whole relationship, and just it's if I owe someone money, I'm gonna try to pay him immediately, kind of thing. Like I don't want there to be an inequality, and I feel like in our relationship, that was an ideal to not have that. Or trying to always step up was like an ideal for me, and I felt good about that. I was proud of that. And then there's so much inequality that Jules is doing so much more than me, and it affected my ego. And like, yeah, and you still are doing so much more than me. So yeah, the fact that like I failed at the things that I should have power over, like yes, I want to take care of you as you take care of our daughter. And I feel like in the beginning I was trying to feed her at night with formula and let you get the sleep, and then just like, oh my god, yeah, just trying to control things and trying to step up in areas that I was not asked to step up in. Yeah, I drove myself nuts in the beginning.
Yeah, that's so honest and real. Yeah, it's hard. The inequality piece. What was that like for you, that your body was taking on so much more and Gianna relies on you so much more?
Yeah, we had a hard time with the breastfeeding the first couple weeks, and I got really discouraged. I remember we went to the lactation nurse, and I wasn't producing enough, and she was hungry and she was losing weight, and it made me feel like a terrible mother. I remember thinking like, oh, I can't even feed her with my own body. I couldn't birth her with my body naturally, and now I can't feed her with my body. Like I'm failing miserably. So that was my breakdown at the first like lactation appointment. I cried the whole way home. I was like, I can't do this. She deserves better. Like feeling terrible. But I learned that like we just need to feed her, and it's okay to use formula. For anyone out there who feels the same way, it's like a fed baby is a fed baby. Because I remember feeling so guilty about that. Now it's like, yeah, it is what it is as long as she's fed. But that was really hard.
Hard, and it also takes some of that pressure off of you that it's only on you to feed her.
Yeah.
But it's still hard to let that go because you wanted that so much.
Yeah.
And still maybe do.
Yeah, I still struggle with it. Today I was sad because I was like, I don't think she likes my boobs as much as the bottles, and I want to do this for a year and give her, my body. Even though it's hard. It is hard to be breastfeeding full time. And at the same time, I'd be devastated if I couldn't.
Yeah, both can coexist at the same time.
So, yeah.
The two extremes.
Yeah. I feel like the first 2 weeks, though, I do feel like you were taking care of me a lot. It was nice. And then I felt like when he went back to work, I remember feeling so lonely. Not because, he was still in the house and helping, but it was like, I don't know. Like, I just felt like, and I still do till this day, I feel like motherhood can be pretty lonely in the beginning.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't really go out and do much. Like, you're grieving this old life. And have you ever even been at home for like 3 months at a time?
It's COVID.
Yeah.
So it brings up a lot of anxiety for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this weather has not been great. So I've experienced some depression in the process, which has been hard. Because, yeah, it's even hard to admit it because it's like I love her so much. So happy she's in our lives. And at the same time, this is pretty brutal to be not sleeping and giving your body and giving up all the things you did before. And your sense of self kind of goes away. Yep. So it's important. I started taking dance classes and we started talking more about, equity in the relationship and how, what kind of support I need to feel better mentally and emotionally and just working through those things right now. So, yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, major adjustment period for new parents. It's like the things you thought you had figured out, you throw in a new person and grief and trauma and just a whole new
expectations.
Life. Yeah. And you have to figure and renegotiate all of those things back out again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you're taking steps to prioritize yourself.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And are you open to other soup ideas, I guess?
Other soup ideas?
Yeah. Or how are you maybe accepting more help or just letting some of those things go?
Cooking is down. I feel like the first couple weeks definitely needed the help. Now the routine's in place and constantly adapting and like open to. Yeah. Sometimes Jules will have a request and it's not, I like something that's direct of like, hey, can you get me this? Can you do this? And within reason, of course. And like, man, we were in couples therapy. The things, there's just so much. Having a kid is so freaking hard.
And it's not the kid itself, right? I mean, everything it's all that comes with the child, I feel like, right? The having to communicate about the child and your own reactions to things and right? It's all the stuff between like you guys.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's how it was for Johnny and I, at least.
It's full blown. So we have a couples therapist we got beforehand, thank God, which is amazing.
Yeah, she's great.
She is great. Shout out Sonia. Huge mental breakdown. Our last one about you were asking something I feel like I can provide, and like I'm goddamn yelling in therapy, which never done that. So that was awesome. All the things that like.
Yeah, that's when we both had our mental breakdowns at the same time.
That's great. By the way, that was a week ago, so I just want to clear the air here. Yeah. Shit is hard. I started therapy myself the other week or this week, yesterday. Wow, what is time? Yeah.
That was yesterday. Yeah,
that was yesterday.
Yep.
So I don't know. Getting as far as you're saying, like getting help. Like, I don't need help cooking as much, but I need so much help with everything else. Regulating my emotions that I feel angry at myself that I'm angry. I feel like a child. I feel immature. I feel like I've regressed back to when I first got sober and couldn't control my emotions and I'm throwing tantrums and I'm losing my mind and pissed at myself. Like, why can't I accept the reality and get over my own, like, I'm upset about this and I'm mad at you, Jules. I'm mad at you. I'm a fucking pout about it, and that's so annoying.
Yeah,
for you too.
It's the transition from being like a child yourself to becoming a parent, right? It's like that's what it means to become a parent. At least I
and it like brings you back to whatever you experienced as a child. Now you're
providing for somebody else, two people.
Yeah. There's like moments where you're like, or for me at least, I remember it feeling like a couple weeks ago, like, oh my God, this is forever. And it's not. I mean, like she's going to change and grow in so many different stages and phases of her life. But sometimes you wake up and I would just be like, oh my God, I have to keep doing this another 24 hours. I have to keep feeding her. I have to keep not sleeping. I have to keep like, I don't know, all these like racing thoughts all the time. And it was like, it was kind of scary.
And the daunting future of when she starts walking, like what's happening with Sophie. When you go back to work, when, blank and blank. It's like, wow.
But I think the worst part of all that was I was keeping all of those thoughts to myself. I wasn't voicing them. And so I think it's important, communication, like you said, with your partner. As soon as I feel like I started telling you, And that's when all the feelings came up in a bad way in therapy, but also like, good thing we talked through everything, because now it's like, okay, now we know what we need. Now we know what we're going through as individuals, and we can have empathy, hold empathy for each other, and figure out how to support each other, because, man, yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. I feel like as hard as it must be to like be in therapy and go through what you went through, it's you like gifted yourselves the opportunity to have that and to like let those emotions out in a safe space.
Yeah.
And that's so important.
Yeah.
Like you said, keeping them inside is really hard and makes things worse. It can make things worse.
Yeah.
Or just to like give up and throw in the towel and like it would be so much easier, you think, in the moment, but then to move through it, do you feel like it's better after you do make contact and it's like raw and hard?
Yeah. I'm really grateful that you guys have this podcast to even talk about it, because sometimes I always like wonder to myself, I'm like, is it this hard for everybody?
It is.
Is it this hard? And then we talk to friends and I finally open up to them about what we're going through. And then they're like, yep, us too. Same thing. I'm like, okay, good. And even our therapist was like, by the way, this is totally normal.
Yeah.
And yet I feel like I'm going insane, and it's not. It's just normal. Parenthood is hard. Being a new mom, new dad is hard.
I wish more parents talked about the struggle that I feel like that's not a thing. Maybe from the guys that like talking about like the absurd things I feel. And I don't need to go down the rabbit hole, but I'm happy to. And like, you know, just the loss of autonomy, sure, but the loss of like my partner and the sexual nature of things and missing that and like all sorts of greedy things, which logically I know better of, like, obviously sex is gonna be different, like she's gonna be different. My life, I can't just go, fuck, I'm spoiled, by the way. I went hunting multiple times since she's been born, but, like, other things I want to do, and, like, I don't know. It's, yeah.
It's natural to feel all of that. And I agree that I want everybody to talk about what's hard, and it makes a difference for other people. It's not like, look how perfect my postpartum is on Instagram. We're thriving over here. It's just like not helpful.
It's like Jules packed her bag last night and I slept in the truck. And
Yeah, last night?
No, this wasn't last night, but it was recent.
You guys went on a date last night, right?
Last night.
That's
We
great.
had our first date.
That was great.
And I didn't check the net once.
Wow.
I didn't check the camera, because, I mean, most of the time when I'm not home, even when he's home, I check the camera.
Yeah. And you
can
look
you not?
beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah. No, it's like, if we were just honest about the good moments and all the like really hard moments, that is like reality.
Yeah.
That's it.
At the same time.
The same time.
And then what's hard will keep changing,
Yeah.
even though it feels like it won't for a long time.
So when we first met before Gianna was born, we had asked you a question. I'm going to play it back for you guys. And
I don't remember. Do you remember?
No, I don't remember at all. I don't remember.
We've lived like a full life since then.
I know.
4 months.
okay.
Wild.
We're sitting here, like, what would you want the parent in the future to know? Like right now, like if you could tell yourself something or tell each other something.
Oh, it's really cute.
Oh my God, I don't know why I just got so emotional, all these hormones. I would want to say to us that you're going to be great parents, and that you've come a long way, and yeah, I think that I see Garrett and Jules as future parents as being really fun and just really caring, and also balancing each other, because I imagine me being the worry parent who really wants everything to be safe and calm all the time, and Garrett wanting to have fun, and do a lot of things. And I think just leaning into each other, that's the advice I would want to give them, is lean into each other, listen to each other, and make decisions as a team and as a family. Yeah.
Note for future Garrett, do not forget to date Jules. Very important. So,
Wow.
That is a good one.
yeah.
That's really touching.
You just did that.
That's so funny.
Hey.
Wow. That's really cute.
That is really cute.
What's that like to hear?
Emotional again. The hormones are still there, you know. But yeah, it's so funny, even like, I don't know, hearing myself before becoming a mom. I'm like, oh wow, that girl, who was she? But it wasn't even that long ago. But it's nice to hear that that I just like had this idea of us as a family, and it's turning out exactly, you know, what I expected. That you are the fun and want to go out and want to be adventurous, and I am definitely the one who worries more. I think that's still true. Yeah, it's just really nice to hear that I don't know, that we're working through it as a team. That's what I wanted, and that's what we're doing.
I think that was actually a really big surprise hearing what you said. I forgot, and those words are so much more true than I guess realized in the moment when you said leaning into each other. And like, because at the time we were very independent people of like, okay, cool, like if you were to leave me tomorrow, if I were to leave you, kind of thing. It felt like, okay, well, you know, our lives is not like we depend on each other in that way, and I feel so differently now. And like, and when we do attack a problem, get, you know, my little therapy talk from my intake is ADHD. Apparently, I have it. Go figure. Anyone who knows me, not surprised, whatever. But point being, it was like the way I react of feeling that freeze when I'm scared in a relationship and not feeling safe, and freezing and get really apathetic, like, you know what, fuck it, anything could happen, doesn't matter, like life will go on. And just how, I guess it helps knowing where that comes from, but the solution of that, like what you said, leaning into each other, leaning into a family. That was on my New Year's resolution of like being more dependent and putting that family for, like, this isn't just a what's best for me or what's best even for Gianna. It's what's best for us, which is, yes, usually what's best for Gianna. But so I don't know. I just was really proud of your insight on that and how true it is.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, you grieve like the old version of you, and it's hard, but then there's also this new version of you too, and you can show up differently in your relationship, and that never would have existed that way before a child and going through this together.
Yeah.
And to learn also on your own to depend on other people, like that's a really beautiful gift to learning that too. We need each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just like in transformation as a family.
And it's like constant.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
every single hour sometimes. Right.
That's the word I would use to describe parenthood. It is relentless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Is there anything that you would want to tell, you know, we might not meet again in a recording, but like you'll maybe listen back to this in 5 years from now, 10 years. Is there anything that you would want those versions of yourselves as individuals and parents to know?
You go first.
Oh shit! No, you have the enlightening stuff. I just sense it.
I would say definitely communication. You know, I think that what I'm learning is the more we communicate, the better. Even if it comes out messy at first, it's better we just communicate. The longer that I've harbored my feelings or resentments, the worse it gets, you know, the harder it gets. And I think, like what I said before too, like being a team, I think has helped us along the way so far. And I think that's what's going to help us in the future, is continuing to be a team, prioritizing family, prioritizing Gianna, and maybe more babies. We'll see. And I do hope that, you know, in the future we have, like a house full of chaos and love. You know, like I want it to be the happiest kids with the best bedtime routines. You know, I want it to be like chaos and messy and love during the day, bedtime at night, so that we can still, you know, have each other at the end of the day and tune into each other and still be a couple while also being, you know, parents. That's my goal.
That is really sweet. I love that. Yeah, I'd say talking to my future self. I hope I can keep the same momentum of uncomfortability. Like I hope I don't rest on my laurels in that respect of like, okay, I'm good enough. Well, I'm not gonna say good enough, but like I want to continue to learn about myself, grow with you, grow closer to you, continue being uncomfortable and trying new ways, whether it's, how to connect with Gianna. I say uncomfortable, but like in a good way. And like connect with you and prioritize that and not just get in the routine of selfishness of like worrying about my wants being met before the family needs.
Yeah, like to be intentional and always do that work of connecting first. Yeah.
Less doom scrolling.
We'll check back in 5-10 years, whatever that is. Yeah.
Oh,
That's really beautiful. You guys have come a long way. Thank you for sharing, being so open. I wish I had something like this during those first couple of months. Yeah. Hearing from a couple.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. This was great.
I've got 2 more questions.
Okay, yeah, let's go.
yeah. We ask everyone 2 questions. I can't remember if we asked a version of this in the first episode. We might have asked like a different version, but at the end of every episode, we ask 2 questions. The first one would be, what advice would you give to someone who's about to give birth?
I think I got it. I got mine. I'm just.
I gave someone advice recently, our friend who's about to give birth. I told her to trust her intuition. And that no matter how it goes, no matter what happens, that you're going to be a great mom and it's going to be fine. That's really it.
When you tell that advice, are you telling yourself that too?
Yeah,
I was going to say that.
definitely.
Yeah. How about you?
I would say sleep when the baby's sleeping is fucking horseshit.
Yeah, oh my God.
And I despise any time someone says that. But besides that, what I tell someone who's expecting? Yeah.
You mean about the birth in specifically?
Or just being a parent.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever feels like most important.
However
That you wish
interpret the
someone
question.
that you wish someone would have said to you.
Yeah, so that I didn't birth a child, so I can't really speak to that. But I think what Michael told me the other day was pretty important. He was telling me that there's no right or wrong. I mean, sure, that take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, if you like abuse your kid or physically, there's wrong ways to do it. Sure. But like as far as co-sleeping or crib training or all these things and all these opinions that so many people are like, this is right, this is wrong. And I feel like everything is just whatever works for you and your baby. Like, just do that. If the baby is happy and is full and fed and all that, then yeah, I don't know. From all the opinions, I feel like we're getting a lot of opinions, which I hear all the time. And
yeah.
whatever works for your family.
Yeah.
I think that's a really
Trusting your
important one.
intuition.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I just copied you. Different words.
Everybody has opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the stakes are so high that with what you have, it's not like, oh, read this book or do this. It's like, this is what you should do with your child, and then you're like new to it. So
Yeah.
It makes it hard to trust your intuition because you're questioning, like you're hearing different conflicting advice or something that goes against like what you feel inside is right. And then you have to question that and that takes more energy.
I do think a lot of that is what added to my like postpartum anxiety in the first month is that everyone was like, follow the wake windows, make sure she's napping for X amount of time and then wake her up at that time and make sure it's at this time and then feed it. And I was like, I'm going to lose my shit if I have to follow a fucking schedule right now.
Yeah.
Like I just want to do what she does.
Oh, that's another thing I want to say is about that of like, I don't think, total opinion, that we have much say over how a baby is. For the, if you're not like doing something crazy, I feel like I know great parents, the most gentle parents who have the wildest kids. and try to do everything right. And I know parents on the other spectrum and you just have perfect babies. And it's just, I don't know, giving yourself the grace of like, your child's going to be what your child is. And to control that could just be maddening.
Yeah, I think it's all temperament, and it's really hard to tell a parent with like a kid who doesn't need to be on a schedule, doesn't want to be on a schedule, that they have to be on a schedule. It's just so unrealistic, and it makes everything so hard when you could just, follow the lead of your kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
I took this class once in grad school on play therapy, and I remember something that was really helpful on learning about like looking at children as their own culture, as if you were to look at them as like another country and language and customs. They just do things differently, and it's not wrong. And you have to integrate together, and you can't have them conform to your way. You have to learn about them, and it's like this.
And meet in the middle.
Meet in the middle.
Because you still have to live your life.
Yeah.
And like, people have to go back to work. You have to adjust, you have to like find the balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. I like
The
that.
culture of childhood. Yeah.
Because like they are not adults. Like they don't have the same sleep cycles. They don't, they don't eat the same way. Their digestion's not fully developed yet. There's so many things.
Don't talk the
It's
same.
kind of weird that I feel like our country does almost treat babies like they should be adults. Like, and it's a lot of it is because mom has to go back to work. I feel like they're like, okay, so mom needs to get back on a schedule, needs to sleep, so we need to make sure baby's sleeping at 6 weeks old through the night. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
It's just a baby.
It's not really a thing in other countries. I was just reading that the other day of like the whole let's figure out sleep now because you have to get back to work.
Yeah,
It's
a lot of pressure.
It's pretty unrealistic. It's really hard.
How do you feel about going back to work?
Not good. It makes me really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to. I feel like, and respect to any moms who do, like I think it should totally, I wish like it could be a choice,
Because sometimes going back to work is like, does so much for your mental health too, but we should be able to have the choice, like you said.
Exactly. Yeah. I thought I was going to be the mom that wanted to go back to work. I was passionate about what I do. And I thought that was going to be me. And then it just feels biologically wrong to not be with her, for her to be with another mom or another person all day, a nanny or a daycare. Like, it just doesn't feel right,
Yeah.
So I'm struggling with it, but
Yeah.
that's what we have to do.
America.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And I looked up the other day or recently what country has a full year of maternity, and I was like, can we move there?
Which one was it?
Denmark, I think. Yeah.
We could do that here. It's just,
I know.
I mean, yeah, so many things have to change. We could like not fund wars, for example.
Right? Seriously. That's what I just said on the way over here.
Yes, you did.
We have one more question, which feels weird to say now because it's like such a low moment, right? But then and what's something that makes you laugh?
We're going to hold two things at the same time.
Yeah,
The
like
theme
usual.
of the day.
Yeah. What's something that has made you laugh about parenthood or postpartum or your birth?
I think the emotions are kind of funny.
Like yours or?
Yeah, mine was just talking mad shit. When you cry, oh my god, you look so dumb. No, like I don't know, the chaos of like the things I get mad at is laughable. Like being able to laugh myself a little bit, like wow, that's what is going on.
Like not take yourself so seriously.
Yeah, and like I don't know, it's a third party. If I were to tell someone like you slept in your truck because you got upset about, I don't even remember.
Yeah. I don't remember either.
Like just insignificant, you just like you had a little hissy fit. So I don't know, like laughing at myself. Or a big thing, this actually really helped me a lot, is someone, it might have been a goddamn Instagram reel or something, but if someone was like mad at themselves, like I can't believe I let this baby won, and I got mad at the child, like baby won. I'm like, what? I'm not gonna get mad, like let a child affect my emotions. I'm a goddamn adult. Like, yes, clearly I don't know what's going on. I know it's such a toxic masculinity way to think of it. I feel like I'm not gonna let myself get mad, but it is ridiculous
Everybody
to get
gets
mad.
mad.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely. I've definitely gotten mad and had the idea of like I just want to drop this child on the hardwood floor. Not going to do that. Impulsive thoughts. Never would do that. But
I think you're not alone on that at all. Honestly, it's like psychological torture sometimes.
Yeah.
And so that's a natural reaction to that. And it does,
Where it does become abnormal is if you actually do it.
I will never
exactly,
do that.
yeah.
Gianna,
There
when
are
you listen to
so
this, I
many
love you.
intrusive thoughts.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
God,
yeah. Or if the intrusive thoughts become overwhelming and nonstop or something. But yeah,
It's real.
that's another place where we can hold both. Like, you obviously love her and you've had
Absolutely.
those thoughts.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, laughing at the ridiculousness of my emotions and like the turmoil that I feel in the moment in hindsight.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's been funny is kind of something we've already talked about, but like trying the things that I think we're supposed to be doing for her, like, yeah, putting her down for a nap, and then it's been 2 hours and I'm still trying to put her down for a nap. And then I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to stop trying to do this because I'm wasting my energy. And then I go do something productive and she falls asleep on me. And I'm like, oh my God, this is just comical. Like, I don't know. Or like the fact that we're all talking right now and she's right here and she's, dead asleep. But at night, I have to like crawl into bed. And if I make the tiniest creak, she's like, huh, what? I'm like, what is going on? Why?
It's 3 a.m., girl.
Why? We could be like partying and she's asleep. And it's so funny to me. I'm like, parenting is just never what you expect ever.
It's funny, but not in the moment.
Right. The harder I try, the worse it gets. If I just try less, if I stop, like the giving into everyone's opinions or the you should do this is what's right for her, you got to try that. When I just like gave up on trying to do what everyone's telling me to do, it felt a lot better.
Yeah.
Let go of like that control.
Let go of
It's
control.
really hard. But
Just do what she needs,
And also what you need to.
Yeah, that too.
finding the balance.
Yeah.
What do we say? Put your own oxygen mask on first. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you learned the importance of that? Like the
Yes.
significance of that?
Yeah.
How good you
Definitely.
feel when you come back from dance class.
Oh yeah, dance class, and also like in the mornings, and like if I can just do my little skincare routine and make a coffee, then I can come show up for her. You know, just give me 10 minutes. She can distract herself with the book or the toy for a second, and I'm not going to feel guilty about it. She'll be fine, and then I can provide. Then I can show up. So yeah.
Practicing a little moment where you have control and agency that you can then be present and regulated.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful. I think having a couple on too, it's just that much more real.
Yeah, it's
and
real.
honest.
It's like a well-rounded perspective. And I really appreciate you both for just talking about what's hard, because it's so hard. Yeah. And obviously we don't want to scare people, but like you said, like it's so valuable to hear that other people are going through what you're going through, and hopefully
I think we scare people more if we're not honest.
I know, because
then
then
you're like
you're
isolated
just
and ashamed.
blindsided.
Exactly. Seeing all like the Instagram, sometimes I'll show you like the mom influencers, and I'm
hate
like,
them all.
what? How is it going so well for
Got trust fund babies,
not.
and then they're
It's
just
not.
home all the time posting perfect reels of their lives, and like,
And then
I
they're
don't
also
give a
giving
shit.
you that advice.
It's
of,
like,
Yes.
How dare you give advice?
if you just follow my steps, you can have this life. Hello.
Yeah.
That's toxic.
Yes.
So yeah, this is great. I'm really thankful for the work that you both do here, and just in your lives. The work that you do as a doula and a therapist, I think, is so important. And yeah, just really appreciate being invited to be here.
Of course. Yeah. I'll see you at home, neighbors.
See you later.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you so much. Bearing Birth is available on all major podcast streaming services. We invite you to subscribe as well as follow us on Instagram at Bearing Birth Podcast.